Next up, we have our favorite segment of the program, the Hack of the Month. Come on up, Robert.
Great. So hi, everyone. I'd like to start with a simple question. How many people in the room think that online advertising can make them more productive and more efficient? It's a couple hands, but they've seen the presentation already. I wanted to show you something that I did, which is basically to replace my Google Ads with my to-do list. Okay. So basically, so what's interesting is that if you think about your to-do, if you think about advertising online, it's about bugging you. As many of you have said by your clapping, you know that ads track you. They kind of get you to buy things, and they kind of distract you from what you really want to do. You've got your to-do list, which is the things you want to do, and you've got the ads kind of keeping you from doing that. So now, essentially, what I have here is instead of when I see an ad, I'm actually being reminded of the things I need to do and want to do, as opposed to being told to buy something else. So if we just look at the number of people in the room, there's about 500 people in the room. I'm going to be speaking for about 5 minutes. That's almost 2 whole person days of time that we're absorbing here. And I want to make sure that this time is as valuable as possible. On the other hand, internet companies don't exactly feel about time in the same way. When I'm browsing the internet and I'm trying to look for things to do, I'm often distracted by ads, and I'm not necessarily paying for this content with my money, but I am paying for it with my time, which is another valuable and scarce resource. So when I go to a website like this over here, my ticket to admission is really the advertisement on the side and looking at that ad and taking that time. So the real question here is, how can I stay focused and on what I need to do, while at the same time, provide a sustainable internet economy? So, thank you. Great. So let's see where we're going. So the simple way of doing this, and what a lot of people do, is ad blocking. And ad blocking is great from an individual perspective. It really gets you to the point of saying, okay, I didn't like those ads. I just want to see the content. But really, this isn't a sustainable end system. The companies that are relying on web advertising won't make money, and it really doesn't get us where we need to be. The next stage, if you look at this, is micropayments. And to me, what a lot of what's been happening with micropayments is people saying, how do we just get enough consumers and how do we get enough websites to get micropayments to work? And for those of you that don't know, micropayments is very similar to advertising, where a small amount of money is paid for each page view. However, it's not the ad company paying it, it's the actual end consumer. What's interesting is that Google has done something called Google Contributor. And if you look at the top, that very kind of light thing, you can buy your ads back from Google. And instead of an advertisement, they'll say, thank you for using Google Contributor. And this really solves that scale problem. It's Google. So they've got lots of ad companies, they've got lots of people, and it works. And if it were running today, because Google Contributor is now being revised for the first quarter, you could try it when you get home. So they've solved that scale problem. The problem is that most people, and the reason it's down, is there weren't a lot of people using Google Contributor. It basically became this idea that you could pay to have your ads removed, but people don't like paying to have things removed. It's kind of like paying for nothing, or or paying to be bored. It's not something that people generally like. So the question is, how do you get real value out of this? And that's where what I did comes in. You can use Google Contributor to go to a specific URL, which is, so what I did was I put my to-do list in there. And so basically, I've got this targeted ad that follows me around the web and reminds me of the things I need to do, which really gets me more focused on what's necessary, because my to-do list is literally the things I need to do, not the things I might want to buy or might be interested in. So, how do you do it? It's actually very simple. You sign up for Google Contributor, which is currently being revamped, I think because of these types of things, though I'm the only person who's done anything interesting with Google Contributor. Literally. And you can sign up for Remember the Milk, which has a very nice, simple text-based layout, which lets me place this ad there. You create a custom list inside inside it, and then you link it. And it's very simple. Basically, all this is over here is just the list for Remember the Milk. You put a link on the bottom, right over here under the custom URL link, and then it displays in lots of different places on the internet. So essentially what we have here is, I think a lot of the clapping was like, we hate ads, which is true, we do hate ads. But the point is, how do we get away from that in a way that really is sustainable? And by leveraging things like Google Contributor, that's possible. So just to wrap up, what I learned is this is a great way to keep me focused. It was $5 to $10 a month when I was doing this, just to kind of pay to get those ads back. But more importantly, what we're talking about here is when you look at micropayments and you see what people have done with it, many people are focused on the scale problem. They're focused on how do we get enough users, how do we get enough websites to be into this micropayments, to get micropayments to work. Google Contributors really provided a platform that really solves that scale problem. And now it's a matter, and it's up to us as the technologists to figure out a way to provide real consumer value and to get people to pay in order to really transform the internet. So I'll be around at the cocktails to talk more about this, and thank you for letting me present. Okay.
Great. We have time for a couple of questions for Robert. And you may have noticed that he was presenting from slides, but only because the contributor was down. And I had seen it a couple of months ago, and it was really, really awesome hack that he worked out. So that's why he's here. So who has questions? Yes, up front.
It seems like the success of your ad depends on ad blocker not being available. So how do you remedy like a paid service? How do you compete with a paid service or a free service when you're a paid service?
Well, this is, I would just preface the question by saying that this is more of a hack of the month. So it's not really a business it's just a project that he did. And it's a really cool way to get around having the ads be placed into the system. But if you want to take I don't know if that answers your question or.
It's a great hack. I love it.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, the question behind it is really, why not just use an ad blocker, right? And there's two sides to it, right? And that's what I was trying to get across. One is an ad blocker to some extent is very selfish, right? It's you're getting the content, but you're not paying for that content, and you're paying for it with your attention, and that's what's so frustrating. The problem with Google Contributor, which is a great platform, is that people don't want to pay for literally nothing. They're just like, what am I getting out of this? So what becomes very interesting is, what can you put on top of Google Contributor that makes it valuable? So whether it's a to-do list or a task list, or whether it's something that's bundled with YouTube, there's some value there that needs to be unlocked, and it's not about kind of this micropayment scale platform, because that's kind of solved. The question is, what's that customer value that'll get you to pay for it, and not just kind of use an ad blocker.
Great. Next question. Yes.
I'm understanding this correctly, you could have done the hack and placed an ad for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of really that.
You could have supplanted a Google ad with your own ad saying, "Hi, I'm looking for a job," or "I've just started my own startup. Please contact me. I need backup."
The question is you could actually replace ads with other ads.
You could. What's interesting about Google Contributor is these are ads just for me, right? So I'm buying ads just to be targeted towards me. So if I were to take an ad that said, "You should hire me," and put it up there, it'd be very frustrating because it would just be to me.
All right.
But it's confusing. Yeah.
Great. And we have time for one last question. Yes, in the back. So the question is there a way to go around the contributor and just create a hack to replace the advertisements without Google Contributor?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want. But it goes back to the fact that it's a way of the point is, what about the other side of it, right? So the point is, you may as well use an ad blocker. An ad blocker is kind of you saying, like, look, I'm not going to participate in the ecosystem. I don't want to pay for what I'm viewing. This is literally, there's two sides to this, right? One is you get to view, your to-do list, which is valuable to you, but the other is that you're supporting the sites that you're going to. And I think it's really important that anytime you look at a sustainable, ecosystem, it's got to have both parts to it. And we've got to support the content providers that are there. Otherwise, you'll end up in situations like with ad blockers where sites say, look, you have an ad blocker on, I'm not going to give you access to the site.
Great. Thank you so much. That's all the time we have for questions. Robert will be at the after party. Again, great hat.